Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of Creator News Live. So excited to have you here. This is going to be a fun one. Got my pal and intrepid co-host Conor Brown here talking about some books. And we didn't even plan this. We just hey, I just read that too. So we're going to be talking about two books today. So this is going to be a fun show. But I want you guys to chime in, if you've read these books, if you haven't read these books, if you have questions about these books, if you have books that you think are better, let us know down in the comments what's going on, and we would love to bring your conversations in the show as well. So, Conor Brown, how are you doing today, my friend? What's been going around in Orlando other than the heat?
Other than the heat, well, I was going to comment on the heat you're facing because I know you have some fans going, and the only reason I know that is because your hair is wafting in the wind. You look like the celebrity that you truly are.
Now I just need some mist to come over, and I don't know. Anyway, but yes, it is warm. We actually had it kind of overcast now, so they're saying it's going to be a little cooler today, 98. Woohoo!
Oh,
so yeah, it's just
brisk.
Yeah, I'll have to get a jacket. So yeah, it's exciting. But how about stuff over in Orlando? How are things? Are people just melting at Disney?
They are melting at Disney, but it's good. It is what it is, We'll get a break here sooner rather than later. Got to do some cool things last week on Disney property. I was at travel agent education program that Disney put on and invited a select few people there. So we got to do a lot of things on Disney property. We also got to tour the Disney Treasure, the brand new Disney cruise ship in the cruise line fleet, and it was awesome. That ship, Jeff, is both up our alleys. It's the real deal.
So what was your favorite thing about it that people may not know about?
So I'm sure a lot of people know about it, but the Haunted Mansion Parlor, it's a bar themed to the Haunted Mansion, the attraction in the Disney parks. It's next level. It is unreal, incredibly well done. All of those common spaces I really, really like. In the Grand Hall, which is kind of Aladdin themed. It's darker tones, but it still feels very, very warm. I just liked it a lot. It was awesome.
Isn't the Haunted Mansion on another ship too? The kind of bar didn't they steal it from another one?
So on the Wish, that bar that they have there is Hyperspace Lounge, so a Star Wars themed bar. On the Treasure, which is what I was just on, is the Haunted Mansion Parlor. The Destiny, which is coming to the Disney Cruise Line fleet in November of this year, is also going to have the Haunted Mansion Parlor.
Yeah, it's that popular, folks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and we've got another Disney fan. Caleb Joshua Hill says, good morning, Jeff and Conor. Good morning to you as well. Caleb, thank you for stopping by. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be talking about these books because we found them really, really helpful. We've been talking about it in our mastermind group. So I'm going to hit go on the podcast machine, and we will get started. Welcome to Creator News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Conor Brown, and this is the show that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the creator space and more.
Have you ever hit the point where you're consuming podcast after podcast, reading all the books, and you still feel stuck? Now, and maybe you're wondering how to actually apply what you're learning and maybe even questioning what success really means anymore. If that sounds like you, well, you're in the right place because this week, Conor and I are digging into two powerful books that helped us rethink how we work, what we chase, and why burnout isn't just a side effect, it's a signal. So we'll be talking about Lean Learning by Pat Flynn and The 5 Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom, and what stood out to us, what challenged us, and what we've already started applying to our business and our life. So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind, and get ready for this week's episode of Creator News Live. Conor, I am so glad that you are. I love books, but we haven't really done this kind of thing before, so I'm really excited to talk with you about it. And on that note, I actually have, once again, a little promo for today's show.
It's Conor and Jeff on the mic, bringing books to life that you just might like. Big ideas in a chapter or two, it's the book report, just for you.
That's right, folks. It's the book report, and we're going to be talking. Hopefully, we can bring this segment back.
Oh, my gosh. Awesome.
So I want you guys to know, what do you guys think about these little intros and things we're doing? I'm kind of doing it to keep my skills in editing and all the new stuff with AI. Of course, all that you saw and Heard was produced with AI. So what are your thoughts about that? Should we keep doing it? Is it a little goofy, or do you like it? Because I want to know. Even if it's goofy, I'll probably still do it just because I'm goofy. But we've got some of our friends popping in already today. Nazim, one of my oldest friends, even over on Google Plus, says, bring it on. Amy Keefe says, happy Friday. I'm excited to hear your book reports. I hope she's not going to grade us, Connor. This may be bad. And Kira says, loving the neon logo. Can't wait for this episode. Thank you. Nazim says, cool AI promo. The song was fun. Everybody loves it. So we'll keep doing it because it is a lot of fun to do. And I think this is something I've always wanted to do before, but it was cost prohibitive. And, for a small time producer, it's hard to have like jingles and logos and stuff. And I think I figured out a streamlined way to do this. So it's kind of fun to play with it. Maybe there'll be a course in it later on. But we're talking about today, From Burnout to Balance, these two books. The first one, Connor, we both really liked. And I was lucky enough to see Pat speak at Craft Commerce in Boise. He had an amazing keynote session. And I've been following Pat forever, and he just is so smart. He keeps growing his team, keeps putting out really cool stuff. But his book, Lean Learning, is one we both read, and we were really impressed with it. We've talked about it in our mastermind. But let's just dive right into that, because that's one thing I think that we really, as creators need to talk about, is the best way to learn. So just kind of give the listeners and viewers kind of your overview of what Lean Learning is.
Yeah, so Lean Learning by Pat Flynn is really just about diving in as quickly as possible so that you can iterate as quickly as possible as well to these learning things. So often, I think everyone suffers from this in the creator space, the entrepreneurial space, is we get reeled in, we get a taste of our own medicine, really. We get reeled in by a course or a how-to guide, or we go down the YouTube rabbit hole of how to do something, of how to implement something in our business. And what ends up happening is we get overwhelmed, we continue to try to learn, and we get to a point where, oh, I just need to watch one more video before I implement this new strategy in my business. We also have the day-to-day of life and running the business as well. So the notion behind lean learning is, what if you just broke it down and you did small actions that can incrementally, when you build them up, really, really enhance and expand your business? So that's what it's all about. Taking those small things, really putting them into place, starting them and practicing with them, and seeing where it can take you.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I love to research. Like, I love like going down rabbit holes, like finding out something about AI and going down that rabbit hole and playing with stuff. But that can also be a detriment, because if you are like me, you want to get all the information, you want to make it perfect, and then you never do the thing. And we're talking a lot about this in our mastermind. We're all working on our tiny offers. If you've listened or watched the show with Allie Burke a couple months ago, she talked all about this. And so we're doing that as a mastermind group. And one of the things is something that we all struggle with, I think, as creators, is we want to make it perfect and we overthink it. And we really, in the group, we're like pushing each other, like, okay, let's make it simpler. You're thinking, let's just get it done. And so why do you think, Connor, we mistake, consuming content for progress? Because I think a lot of us do that.
I think because it's easy to get inspired, right? Like, you watch one video, you're like, absolutely, let's do it, let's go. And then you go and get a cup of coffee and you realize, I totally forgot what I was going to do. Like, right. It's really, really, really easy to get inspired. Mm-hmm. Good inspiration, though, is when we're inspired and we immediately act on it. And something that I knew this was a good book, I listened to it. Shout out, if you have Spotify, you have a premium membership to Spotify, you can listen to this book for free. I think you get 15 hours of audiobook credits in your Spotify membership. So I listened to this book. Pat Flynn himself narrates it. I encourage you to, if you're going to read it, also do the audiobook, because he stops at times and he's like, all right, I'm going off script and I'm going to tell you a story. So you can get more out of it even that way. But I knew that this was a good book when he said something And I basically got out of the car after that chapter was done, and I immediately started to put that to practice in action. So that's where we get bogged down. I think we get analysis by paralysis. We're like, just one more video,
Mhm.
and then I'm going to know exactly how to do it. And in reality, we're never going to know how to exactly do it. We just have to do it.
So was this book the impetus for you to actually go and do your challenge that you've been doing, putting out a piece of content every day?
Yeah. So in the book, Pat talks about whenever you decide to do something new, you should basically commit to it for 60 days, right?
Mhm.
And that could mean any number of things, right? If you're doing you want to do one YouTube video a week, all right, well, commit to doing that for 2 months, right? So you're working for it for 60 days. I followed this because he tells a story about how he started Deep Pocket Monsters, which was a
Right.
YouTube channel all about Pokemon cards. And he then started a dedicated shorts channel for it. And he decided to stick to it by his rule for 60 days. He was going to post one short form piece of content to the shorts channel every day for 60 days. And basically, how the story goes is he was posting and posting and posting. He's like, this is going nowhere. And like on the 37th day, he posted a video and it went crazy. And then after that, the floodgates opened. But it was because he stuck to it for so long and consistently did that. I took that in. I said, I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm in the thick of it right now. I've challenged myself to post one short form video piece of content a day for 60 days. And I think I just surpassed like day 35 or
Wow.
something like that.
Congrats,
I'm
man.
really,
That's
really,
good.
really
That's cool.
enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that, Jeff, is I'm just measuring my output. I'm not yet measuring how that is impacted by it, right?
Right.
All I have to do is post one video a day. And then at the end of 60 days, I'll see how my subscribers grew. I'll see what types of content really resonated with people. I'm not worrying about anything other than just creating and outputting one piece of content a day.
So if people want to follow along, they can go to @VacationKingdom. What is it on Instagram to see your content?
Instagram @VacationKingdom. So I'm posting the same thing basically to all the short form platforms. So it's on YouTube, Vacation Kingdoms, my Facebook page, Vacation Kingdoms, Instagram and TikTok @Vacation Kingdoms.
Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of pull this thread a little bit because we're talking about, you mentioned consistency. A lot of people say, a lot of creators, they'll say, the secret of success is consistency. Well, I just read a really good, I'm a big fan of Justin Welsh, and I read a great article where he pushed back a little bit about that. It's like, there's a difference between consistency and commitment. And Pat talked about it in his book about commitment. And there is a difference between that. And I think this is really important to think about as creators. So you can say, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to do this and then that can lead to burnout, which we're talking about today. But if you're committed to something, you put yourself in it. You have the plan, you have the dream, and it's okay if you miss something. Like, for example, I am committed to this show. Like, we try to do this every Friday at 10 a.m. Central every Friday. But sometimes that doesn't happen. I'm traveling, or like it was the 4th of July on one of them, and we went anyway on that one. But, sometimes, life happens. But that doesn't mean my commitment to the show is gone. Commitment for me is part of consistency. Does that make sense? And I thought it was a really cool article that Justin wrote about, like, there's a difference, and just being consistent doesn't mean you'll be success, because you can burn out. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I've definitely shared this story before on this show, but I'll share it again. Jerry Seinfeld always talks about how your job as a comedian is to write one joke a day. Once you start doing that, then your job actually becomes to not break the chain, right? So you just want to continue to do something every single day and continue to get better. If you miss a day, don't worry about it. Go on to the next day, and then the new chain begins with that.
Right.
So you're committed across the board to this thing, but things are going to happen,
Right.
in
Get
the
the
way.
flu or something. Like, you can't.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
this isn't going. The thing that I'm doing right now, the challenge that I'm doing, isn't to basically get me into a system where I'm going to post one piece of content for the rest of my life. No, that's crazy.
It's an
That's wild.
experiment. Right.
It's to experiment, get to 60 days. And I think more importantly, Jeff, it's to get comfortable producing content, right? I know I have to do something every single day. So I have to live with myself and know, hey, this is only 60% of the way there, but I still got to post it. It's getting comfortable not posting just perfection, but just posting in general, even if something's only 60% of the way there.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Amy Keys has a great point. She goes, I think everyone learns differently too. I know that I get to a point where I need to start trying to do it myself for it to LinkedIn. And Pat talks a lot about that in the book, about how teaching makes you, a better student, and it makes the learning happen faster. And so a lot of times he will take something, he'll get really focused, learn what he needs to do, and then teach it. And that makes him learn it even more and incorporate it into his systems and processes and something like that. And so one of the things that he said in this book that I wrote down, and I've heard variations of this all my life, like what got you here won't get you there, right?
Yeah.
Like we all have some level of success. We're at a certain place. Like if you want to grow, you can't be complacent. Like you continue to have to learn. And his whole thing about lean learning, I thought was really, 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 really cool. So I thought that was a great point by Pat in the book. So what do you think? How can creators spot when they are hiding behind learning instead of doing? Like, what do you think some of the signs are that you can, like, maybe you've even noticed them yourself that you do when you're like, okay, I'm letting fear kind of take, push me, hold me back from where I need to go.
I think there's something like deep down inside a creator where it's basically like, if you're stuck or not, right? And if you're in this rut of just continuous learning and not doing or not going through with action, you can feel that. I think you just have to be true to yourself and know I'm not going anywhere, right? Like to your point, Jeff, nobody wants to be the typewriter salesman, right? You have to adapt. You have to continuously grow and try new things. I think it's the toughest thing in the world, right? But if you want to run a marathon, how do you do it? You go out and you run the first mile, and then you run the second mile. But you have to run the first mile before you can get to the 26th mile, right? That's what it is. It's you're in this rut, but if you feel like you're in the rut, you just have to do something. You just do one thing and let that momentum start building and building and building.
Right. Another thing he says in the book is that he says, this is very convicting to me. He says, information without action is a waste. So yeah. I was thinking, what's a recent piece of advice or insight you acted on that made a real difference? So I think for me, I tried your experiment. I think it was the beginning of the year, and I couldn't do it, which was fine. Like I learned that I could not produce what I wanted to do every day, right? Like it just didn't work. And so that was great. But was there a piece of advice that you acted on that made something for you? And the other thing was for me is like, I guess it's been almost a year is we started a mastermind group that we've been in, which for me is like, I was always scared to do that because it's community. And I'm like, what if I'm not like enough? Or why would anybody want to listen to me kind of a thing? So getting past that fear and just doing it. I think somebody told me you just need to do it, and I did it. And I think that's kind of, I guess, a recent piece of advice that I acted on. What about you?
I think one thing that I've recently done is understand the importance of reaching out to other people too. Like we can't do this alone, even though most of this is solopreneurs and solo creators and, teams of one and those sorts of things. I think just something that I just keep hearing time and time again is, oh my gosh, I learned so much when I was with these people, right? Just happened to me before the start of the show. We were talking about the travel agent training I just went on. I was in a room of 30 other travel agents that are high potential travel agents, right? Getting to hear how they're doing things, it's all different. It's all totally different from one travel agent to the other, but it's just reassuring to hear what they're doing and understand and learn from them. So something that I've started to do more and more, and it also goes back to the mastermind that I participate in with Jeff, is reaching out to people and connecting with people more and more and more, because that's what's really helped me, I think, grow in the last couple of years.
And we'll touch on that when we go to our second book, The 5 Types of Wealth, because that is one of the types of wealth. And I do want to touch on that because I think it's super important. And one, as creators, we really don't think about and give a lot of, we don't put a lot of time in it. We just kind of let it happen to us. But this next,
Jeff, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
You
what's the
you
question?
talked about how you were nervous to start a mastermind because you didn't know if you had enough or if you were good enough or if you could provide value. How'd you overcome that? Like, what made you finally just start to do it and get it rolling?
Because everything, and I tell my kids this, that every time I've gone to the next level or up, whatever you want to call it, like it's a graph or whatever, is that it's doing something hard. Like you can't stay the same. If you want to grow, you can't stay the same. You have to do those hard things. And I still, every Friday I'm like, why am I doing this thing? No one cares, and then I have so much fun doing it. It's just something that I know I have to tell that voice to stop. And I have other people in my life that tell me, hey, you should do this. Like our mastermind group is a great example. They're like, very encouraging. And that kind of leads in, that question, Connor, kind of leads into this next one, that we're taught that more complexity equals more value. And this is another thing, Pat, that really resonated with me in his book. So why do you think simple solutions are so hard for creators to accept and even to teach? Because, we're always like, okay, we see all these packaging things like, when you look at a landing page, it's like, value is $400, but you get this and this and this, and that's an added value of $900. And you're like, okay, so I have to stack everything and make all this like flow charts. And we've seen it, like even, when you're trying to put together a email sequence, like we're trying to do too much. We're like, it's a choose your own adventure novel by the time, and like, that's just not the way it should be. So what do you think? Why do you think simple solutions are so hard for creators to do?
Because we think the next client is going to be the last client. And if we lose it, then it's done, right? So if it's a simple solution, we think, oh, by definition, that means it's not going to work as well as the complex solution. So if I start with the complex solution, I have a much higher percent chance that I'm going to capture that person or that lead or that new client or whatever it is. When in reality, the simple thing wins out 9 times out of 10, right? And it's also this thing of the reason we're in this is because we provide unique value, because we are uniquely you, right? Mm-hmm. All of the complex systems that you see online and in YouTube videos and those sorts of things probably work for that one person. But at the end of the day, all the training, all the education is just simply an example. It's going to be different for you and the service you're doing and the people that you're providing that service to. So starting simple means you can scale up. It's a lot harder to scale down when you've invested all this time and effort in this complex system. But starting simple, I think, is the best way to do it. We're just fearful that it's not going to work, but the complex solution could also not work. What's definitely 100% not going to work is if you don't do either.
Right. Don't do anything. And we've talked about this. Pat says this: overthinking, overlearning, and asking too many questions waste time. And so I think we've all seen that in our own lives. And then, we've talked about a lot of this in the mastermind. And I know that for me, overthinking is a big hindrance. And my wife is always telling me, people don't know what you know. Like I think that, everybody knows how to do that. I don't need to teach that, or I don't need to do a training on that. And everybody knows how to do that. And then my wife's going, no, you don't. And so if you honestly think about people in your circle that aren't solopreneurs or normal people, other than like us who are creatives, that they don't have any clue like what it takes. They don't. And that's what masterminds are so important for, is you have those people around you. And even Amy Keys says, having others support me and encourage me is such a huge reason for the success of my solo business. And Amy does pretty well. I mean, she's done a lot of stuff for the Smithsonian, and she's...
Ever heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard a little. I've heard of it. I've never been, but I've heard of it. It's amazing. And she has built a business of this, but she even says it's important to have people around you to do that. But I mean, I still overthink. So what do you think are the warning signs that you're overthinking, or you're stuck in prep mode instead of progress mode? Connor, what are your signals that kind of pop up on your dashboard?
I mean, you know it. You haven't done anything. You've woken up, you have your to-do list that says publish this piece of content, write this new blog article, send out this email, and it doesn't get done, right? But you know what always gets done? Watching 9 videos, right?
Right.
Reading a bunch of blogs or newsletters or whatever. I mean, I think it's easy to know when you're not doing anything, right?
Yeah.
But doing something and succeeding are very, very, very different. But again, you got to do the first thing in order for the second thing, success, to happen.
So I think it's easy this is for me. I can curate. Like, I know I need to talk like on ChatGPT image generation. I'm doing a talk about that. So I can curate all these great people talking about on YouTube. I can find all the articles, and I'm great at curating. It's that next step. And I can know in my mind if I'm curating more than a day, like that's really procrastination. Because I think, oh, there's one more piece of information that I gotta put in my training that'll just send it over the top. I just gotta discover it. And that's just me in my mind saying, you don't really want to do the hard work and sit down and, put the bullet points together, then start writing content, then start putting the visuals together, because I know that's coming, and I know that's a procrastination kind of idiot warning light that I see on my dashboard when I do that. So if Pat talks about, pushed on a pull door in your business, right? Like, we've all done that where we've got it. Why is this working? And we're standing out there and we're pushing and we just need to pull it. So have you ever done anything like that? Like, you have a moment where you've actually, you're doing something that's actually getting in the way of you moving forward? Like, you're standing there at that push door when you should really just be pulling it?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think I used to say, in order to be a great content creator, you have to be a great content consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I go on with it, the more I believe that's true, but you can do that in like 30 minutes a day,
Right.
Like, you don't have to be, diving deep, spending hours and hours and over analyzing and being like, oh, well, they cut their video at this point, I have to cut my video at this point and add in, B-roll or do this or do that, or have the, the captions just so. So for me, it's been a lot more about, I can be a great content consumer so that I can become a great content creator, but I can do that in a much shorter time frame. And I just mean that so that I can pick up on trends and learn from people and understand new ways of doing things. Well, what about you? How often do you push on a door when you should pull, other than going to
every
mall?
day? I had trouble getting in the office this morning because I just like and I've been here for 30 years. So I think mine is the spending too, and I can also use, because I like to read and I get tons of ideas when I'm reading. Like, that's why I read on Kindle, is because I can highlight things. In fact, I did it for these 2 books we're talking about. I highlight things in there. It automatically goes to my Notion database, and then I can go to the Notion and look at it and pull out points that I want to talk about. But I can do that and not do work. You know what I mean? Like, that needs to be a scheduled time of my day, and I do usually have that. But if I see myself, I'm just going to read another hour, well, like, okay, you're procrastinating. It's fine to have scheduled time read for 30 minutes a day, because you want to have that schedule and consistency and committing to, growing your mind on some other subjects. But I'll use that as a crutch a lot of times. So that's me going, you need to do some work. And Amy has a good one. She says that when you keep moving the to-do item from one week to the next over and over again. Oh yeah, who else has done that? Me. I have like a running task list that kind of keeps getting longer, and I need to check some of those off. But yeah, Amy, I feel your pain on that one. What about you, Connor? You do
check
that?
some of those off or just delete them.
Right.
I mean, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it sits there for a couple of weeks, then it probably wasn't as important as you thought it was going to be. Or you can take some time and really think through all that. Jeff, where are you keeping all of your to-dos and project management stuff?
So I kind of have like 2 buckets. I have like the personal branding one, and then I have my business one. So my personal branding one, because I have all these ideas, it's basically just in like Apple Notes. Like, I have this running thing, and then I back it up every month, so I know because I can easily delete a note in Apple for some reason. But Notion is where I run most of like the task list Like I have for the Guy Kawasaki podcast, I have one for all of Agora Pulse's podcasts and all my other clients. They're there, and because the team works on them, I need to see where everything is, and that has been a game changer for me to move things forward, because we can look at it and see where we're at, and then move it and address issues as they come up. And so that's kind of like I have that one thing in the business. The thing that I struggle with is the personal branding thing, because that's you, like, right? Like, and I read this is Rory Vaden has a good book right now that I'm reading, and he's talking about how personal branding is basically just your reputation, right? If you think about it, that's what it is. And okay, what does that mean? How can I apply it to what I do? So, yeah.
But you said something there, Jeff, that made me think of a quote from a wise man, Jeff C. And you told me a couple of weeks ago, you said you have to treat yourself like you're a client.
Yeah.
And in that instance there, you said, oh, I have all of my personal brand stuff, my stuff in an Apple Note. But in Notion, it's where all of our client stuff is. But the business stuff in Notion, I would assume, has due dates on it, right? Where the Apple Note is probably just one long list.
So I do have some, like, I have my training stuff inside of Notion, because I do have that planned kind of out, like how I'm doing. It's more of stuff like quotes I have, or like, oh gosh, what do I have on there? Like, I got to do an animation for this thing. I have like get more guests for this show is like kind of on the running task list, that kind of thing. But back to, like, we're kind of just telling all our problems. Some things to help fix some of this stuff is, Pat talked about having a certain times that you work on it, like you're doing. Like, you're spending a certain amount of day, you're doing this experiment. For me, I've been using like this 15-minute thing. Like, I'll use 15 minutes to practice the piano. And if I can do that and just do it a day, that stuff starts stacking up. So you don't have to like block out. And he talked about like blocking time. Like, you don't have to block out 6 hours a day, to write your novel. You can, but most of us don't have time for that. So setting up those little margins, but being consistent with those, that is where I have helped. That has helped me the most. That and goes back to Atomic Habits, is chaining actions together.
I was just going to bring that up when you talked about 15 minutes of piano, doing some sort of tying it to another habit that already exists. That I found has been so helpful. And one thing that I'm starting to do is, on the weekends, just coming up with a simple list. I don't have to create the videos, but just a list of, okay, for the next week, what are the videos I'm going to post, so that I know I'm not racking my brain at, 11:50 at night. And I'm like, I got to post something. What is it going to be? What is it going to be? No, I already have an idea. So if you can do that and you stack it on every, Sunday, I wake up at this time and I get my cup of coffee, and then boom, I'm also going to plan 7 videos, and then boom, you go on with the rest of your day. It's so much easier.
So the one thing that has changed probably everything. So for years I wanted to journal, right? Like, I wanted to journal every day. And I have an unbroken streak of over 1,700 days. So how many years that is? But I use Day One for journaling. It's an app, but because it goes on all the devices. But here's the cool thing, and this is the only way that has been possible. I use those shortcuts, and this is really nerdy. On your phone, you can add those shortcuts where you press one button and it does kind of a chain of actions. Well, I have 2 of them, and one is unlock my office in the morning, like, so I can come out and I just hit a button and it turns the lights on, and super nerdy, Tony Stark kind of stuff. And then right below that is write in the journal, and I can't do one without the other. So if I for some reason get to my office, I'm like, I can't until I do my journal, because it's right on top of the order of things. So that's the reason that I have over 1,600 unbroken entries in my journal. Like, even if it's a paragraph, like if I'm traveling, I'm like, I'm here with Connor, we're doing this, we're eating at, what's the taco place we like?
Taco Bell?
No, not Taco Bell.
Bar Taco. Yes, Bar Taco. We're having with Bar Tacos, and we had a great time. And if that's enough to keep the streak going, I'm fine with that, because I'm committed to having a journal. So can I ask you, what has journaling done for you over the last 1,700 days or whatever? How has it helped you?
I think you can see it reflected in the emails. And by the way, you can go to jeffc.com/news to sign up for that. I think my emails have gotten a lot better because it's made me write every day. So that's what I think.
Like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think journaling has always been one of those things where, like, if you listen to anyone online, it's like, you know why your life is in shambles? Because you don't journal. I'm like, it's not a miracle.
I don't think it's that. Yeah. It's just, it has, morning pages. A lot of people do that.
Gets you in the right headspace too.
You can do gratitude. I mean, mine are sometimes just wrap up of the day. Sometimes what I'm getting ready to do. Like today, I was like, Friday, show day, talking with Conor. This will be a fun one. I mean, just kind of almost vomiting your thoughts. And that, I mean, but then writing some stuff. And then I think it just makes you a better writer. And knowing that you can write, like that was the thing. Like, oh yeah, I can write. I can do this. And so I can do it for emails. And so that's, I think, the big thing for me.
Nice.
Amy says, oh, Amy, thank you. Your emails are the best. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing. She also says, I've learned that if you take a break from all the learning and consuming and give your brain space, it's amazing what your brain does with the learning and the connections you make. So agree with this. And we won't talk about that book this time, but there's another one about creativity that talks about this a lot. And I think we all have to take breaks, and a lot of times we don't. And anyway. We'll get into that in a bit. But we're going to talk about kind of what you touched on a little bit, Conor, about how important people are. And one of the themes in this book is learning faster by getting real, getting focused, and finding community. Now, we've talked about masterminds, and we've talked about teaching because Pat calls it the ultimate force function by teaching or mentoring. And I know you teach new travel agents that come onto your business. So how has teaching people in your industry helped you sharpen your own skills?
I mean, I just recorded a video and shared it with all the travel agents at our agency today. And I used the term that I love and I'll continue to use it forever, which is, to the kindergartner, the fifth grader is king, right?
Right.
If you're facing imposter syndrome, right? If you're, oh, I'm just not good enough. Oh, I don't know enough to help other people. I would just say, just give it a shot. Just give it one shot and see if you can teach one person, because that all of a sudden boosts your confidence. And all of a sudden the imposter syndrome is gone. So like when I can, teach a new travel advisor what I think are basic things, but they're only basic things because I've been doing it for so long, and it opens their eyes, all of a sudden I have much more confidence in myself because I've helped that person. It's so weird, Jeff, because in a way I love to help people because it helps them and they can achieve their dreams, but it's also selfish, right? It's selfish because you're like, you have more confidence instilled in yourself. Jeff, you love to teach and mentor as well. When did you start doing that and understanding how it's been helping you?
I think there is a lot of selfishness to it, actually, because it is when you're getting ready for like a talk or a mastermind session, like because you feel like, okay, I have to be good and know what I'm talking about because people are counting on me, right? They're paying for this service, or I'm been asked to speak in front of people for this, and so it really does help sharpen your own skills to be prepared. Like it's drinking from a fire hose. You're putting yourself into stress, and not all stress is bad. Some stress is good. And I think every time I have to speak or get on stage or even do a live show, it makes me better. And that's the other thing Pat talks about is this is not like I've got to go to the master level all at once, but it's getting that, and we've heard it before, 1% better each day. It kind of goes back to like even those little Rich called them interstitials that I do at the beginning, the AI stuff, because I'm trying to get better at that skill. I want to be able to share that with people so they can do it for their own shows. And so I think doing stuff like that you don't know how to do, but you eventually want to share to others is a big way to sharpen your skills, because there is that kind of pressure you're putting yourself under.
Yeah, I love it. You got to do something.
Speaking about pressure, I never did our sponsor of the show, they're not pressure at all. This is not a pressure sales, but if you want to have a great show like this, you can go to eCam.com/Jeff, save 15% on your first purchase of eCam. And they've got camp coming up. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be in a new kind of location, but we had Katie on last week talk about events. It's fabulous every year. So if you're interested in camp, I think it is ecam.com/camp to find out more about that. They only have a few more seats open, so make sure you guys go check that out. But continuing the conversation about the book Lean Learning, the book talks about finding peer champions and community. So we've talked about this before in the show, the importance of community. But what do you think of the role of community as taking action versus staying inspired? Because, I mean, we've all joined those Facebook groups where we saw a post, we were inspired by it, we said, okay, yeah, I'll join your group. And then 6 months later, we've never popped in there again. So what's the difference for you of like the groups that you kind of drive by, you sign up for, and you never touch again, versus staying inspired and in part of a community that's deeper and richer and you want to connect with people?
Well, I think it all goes back to like how big is it, right? I think people want to be a part of something that's bigger than them, and that's why you join a huge organization, right? For me, I've learned the most and grown the most from a more intimate setting, right? Uh, Jeff and I first met at a conference, Momentum, that only has 50 people, right? That has produced more relationships for me, both personally and professionally, and helped me grow more than any organization of 10,000 people could possibly do for me. That's where I think this is starting to evolve into the masterminds. When you have 4, 5, maybe 10 people in it, the one-on-ones, just a group chat that you're in with people. For me, that's great because the accountability is much, much, much stronger. You're no longer just a face in the crowd, right? You're a part of this group, and the group wants to succeed. So that's what it is for me. I mean, Jeff, you've been in so many masterminds throughout the years. How has like that smaller group setting helped you more than something much larger, I guess?
So, and Katie and I talked about this a little bit last week. I've been a part of a mastermind with Eric Fisher and Anthony Witt for over 10 years. Like, I met when I first went to Social Media Marketing World. I drove across country for the first time and went there, didn't know anybody. I met Ian Anderson Gray, a bunch of awesome other people, developed friendships with that. But we started a mastermind because we were all podcasters at the time, and I had just started a brand new one, and I wanted to have accountability and help and all that kind of stuff. And so we just show up every Monday now. Every Monday we're on a call. Sometimes we turn on our camera, sometimes we don't, and then I'm in another group that's probably been meeting 4 or 5 years, that as a great group of guys. And so I don't think anything has changed my business more than masterminds or connecting with those people. We're solopreneurs. A lot of times, like if you talk to people in your church group or your PTA or whatever, they have no idea what you do. They're doing their normie jobs where they go and watch. Like we have a lot of Eastman Kodak chemical people. There's a plant here in Longview. They go there and they watch Engage. They have no idea what I do. Like it just blows their mind that, you're online and you're on a show. Like what? And so it was really hard to connect with people and talk about struggles and problems. But now with technology and having these people that they understand, like you understand what it's like when you lose a client, right? Like in its cash flow gets hit. Like, what does that mean? How can we create systems that mitigates that kind of thing if a client leaves? How can we build this kind of side hustle income? And nobody else can talk about that. And that's why having these groups where you can support each other is so important, that you feel like you're not alone. That's, I think, the biggest thing for me. Abby goes, I still don't know what you do, and I work for you. So, well, we'll have to fix that. That's a thing on the task list we'll have to do.
It's also great, though, because it's a place where you can also vent about things, right? It's not just, oh, I'm stuck with this, or, oh, here's a win that I've had. It's listen, guys, I've had a tough week. This is what happened. Isn't that the worst? And these people understand why it's the worst. First, if I explain it to, God bless her, my mom, who's a second grade teacher for 32 years, she's not going to understand. She's like, oh, that doesn't sound great. And then that's that, right? It's done and dusted.
Right.
But that's where I think it's people who know what you're going through, good, bad, and otherwise.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into this other topic we've touched on is Pat talks about how fear increases sometimes when we approach our goals. And sometimes it even flips over into self-sabotage, which is very negative. But why do you think sometimes success can feel scarier than failure?
Because I think there's this notion that, all right, so when we're a content creator or an entrepreneur or solopreneur, a lot of the times we're doing it because we want to do what we love and we want to do it on our terms. And we put the umbrella of freedom over all of it, right? Like we're free to do our own things. When we reach a certain success, I think we might get scared because we think, oh, this is what it's going to be now. I can't walk away from this, right? All of a sudden you don't have freedom because you have to continue to do this thing in order for the business to continue to thrive. Me personally, I've walked away from things before it got that big because I knew it wasn't going to allow me the freedom that I wanted, right? I think that's that. It's also just an excuse, right? It's like, oh, well, once I have that much success, I won't be able to do X, Y, or Z. That's true. I think you just you have to know what you're going to focus on and why you're going to do that. What about you, Jeff? Do you feel like it's scarier to achieve a certain success than fail?
I think it's kind of a weird thing. It's more of like, okay, let's use the mastermind that we started as an example. Like, I really was excited and want a mastermind to be successful. And so you have this thing in the back of your mind. If you do it and it doesn't work, what am I going to do next? Right? Yeah. Like I have put all my eggs, even in your mind, in my basket. Like, or I'm going to do this course. Like, this is the course that's going to take me to the next level. But if I do it and it fails, then I don't know what I'm going to do. And I think a lot of people get in that thing. They put so much focus and their worth in this thing that they want to work, and they're scared to go for it because if it doesn't work, they don't have any plan B. And I think that was for me, is like, you know what? I've been doing this long enough. Like, I pivoted a lot of times because I had to. Like, it was just like I had to do it to survive. I can handle this. Like, if it doesn't work, okay. It's not a failure. It's an experiment that didn't work, right? It's like, like you were saying, like you probably know you're not going to do a piece of content every day for the rest of your life, right? This is an experiment to see how, and you're fine with that. But letting that go and giving yourself the permission that if it fails, you're going to be okay. That's, I think, a mind shift that you have to have, or else I see a lot of creators do that. They're like, I'm going to make this course, but if I'm procrastinating because if it doesn't work, I'm screwed, kind of a thing. So that's, I think, a lot of fear comes from that.
I also think on the other end of it, it's like you set this goal and this goal becomes like you're trying to reach the flag planted at the top of Mount Everest. But then once you get there, you're like, what do I do now? Like,
right.
Flag. But that's not how to look at it. It's you just keep going. And sometimes it's, you go down and you go back up, but it's just you have to keep going no matter what level of success you reach. I think that's the other big thing too. It's like when you put a finality on it, it's a lot scarier versus no, let's just put in a pit stop and we're going to keep going after that.
So Amy says this, she goes, I think if you find success, then what is the next thing you will have to do? Is the next thing you have to do? Yeah. So I think that's true. And Connor, she goes, great minds think alike, Connor. And just
what else did she say, Jeff?
Oh, she wants me to do the course. Yeah. I've done courses. I just need to do more. One of the things that Pat talks about, and let's just talk about Pat. Like, if you guys don't know, he started Smart Passive Income because he was fired from his architectural firm. He did this. He made a little course. It went bonkers. Started selling that. It's still out there. He's still making money off that stuff. But then SPI went through the stuff. He was doing trainings. His podcast shot up, all this stuff. And then he did what you talked about, this Pocket Monster YouTube channel. This is, and in the middle of this, he's also invented like the, what is it? SwitchPod and some other things that he invented software for podcasting that I used to use for a long time. He has not stopped. Like, it keeps going up. And now he's like something totally, I could not have guessed that he would have a Pokemon channel that's even bigger than all the stuff that he's done before. I heard some of the statistics that he shared, like a couple videos, I mean, like over 100K in revenue on just Google ad stuff. So he's doing okay. But he also talks about in the book quantum leaps versus micro mastery. Like, when should creators focus on like the 1% improvements like we talked about, like we try to do with the show, we try to make it a little bit better each time. And when should you pivot? Like, and we've seen a lot of creators, they're now all in on AI. Like, I've seen people who are like really focused. They were all doing meta ads. They've scrapped that. Now they're these AI experts, which is kind of out of the blue. But what are your thoughts about when should they make that pivot, and when should they just try to keep doing better what they're doing?
I mean, I think it's a comfort level. It's like, how long are you willing to continue with it just being the exact same, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like this a lot. Like, if you do something for 2 years and you do it consistently and you're not seeing any success or whatever, it's probably time to change it up. It's probably time to not focus on just getting 1% better. It's time to go for a quantum leap. And that might be pivoting entirely, doing something completely different, getting a job, right? Something like that. Like, that can be a part of your story along the way. I think 1% improvements are also reserved for more overall skills, right? Like, I want to get 1% better at video editing. I want to get 1% better at communicating. I want to get 1% better at reaching out and connecting with people, versus a quantum leap is, I'm going to launch this brand new thing, right? You can work on it every day to get to that, but it's that sort of thing. It might also be about knowing your audience. I mean, for Pat, I don't know how many Pokemon fans he had with SPI, with Smart Passive Income, right? But you know what he had? He knew how to make captivating, engaging content.
Yes.
And then the other side of him knew about Pokemon as a fan. So he took those two things and put them together. So I think that the quantum leap was taking his personal and his professional life and putting it together. And I would like to challenge you, Jeff, to what Abby is saying, to name one Pokemon.
I know what one looks like.
Oh, that's good.
No, I don't. I can't even say Salazar. Salazar? Is there one? Do you know? Yeah.
I think you might be thinking of Salazar Slytherin. Is that what you're thinking?
No. I don't know. See, I can't. But here's the thing. Pikachu. I knew that one. I didn't know it off the top of my head. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a big Pokemon fan. I did do Pokemon Go when it was the craze, when it first came out on the iPhone. But on that note, Pat didn't. Like, he wasn't a lifelong Pokemon fan. He wanted to get in it for his kids. And he even talks about in the book, like, the whole thing about lean learning, he applied to Pokemon. And then it just blew up. Like, but he knew, like you were saying, how to create a YouTube video that hooks viewers. He knew how to create content, short form and long form. And he knew how to experiment. And he also knew how to learn. And he did. He applied all that stuff to this new thing. And then it took off. Even more than he thought it would. So I think that's a great point. My daughter is laughing that I was trying to figure out what a Pokemon name was. So this last couple of minutes, I want to talk about another book. Now, you didn't read it. I did, but I've been talking about it a lot. So you probably, in our mastermind, so you probably know it. It's Sahil Bloom's 5 Types of Wealth. And those wealth types are time wealth, social wealth, mental wealth, physical wealth, and financial wealth. And I don't really want to talk about financial wealth because that's kind of a thing, but it really got me thinking. And what got him on this topic is somebody asked him that, how many times do you see your parents a year? And he goes like, oh, maybe twice a year. And he says, well, how old are they? And they told him, and he goes, well, you're probably going to see your parents 15 more times. That's a real, that made me think about stuff. Now, I'm lucky that my parents are here. My wife's parents aren't. So I'm like, oh, we need to, it got things, I guess, churning in me. And that it's not just money, as it's, that's not the only thing we should be thinking about, especially for solopreneurs and business owners. We tend to, that's our next thing. Like, that's where we measure success, is like 6 figures or whatever. Like, and we have all these other things that we also need to be, thinking about. Time wealth. When your kids are young, that's super important. Like, you want to spend time with your kids. And, I think I talked about this in the mastermind, but I feel very, very wealthy in my social, like, especially with my community, the mastermind people I'm with, the people I go to conferences with. I am very, very wealthy in that. There's people have actually come up to, when we've been in Orlando going to a conference, you've been there too, Conor, as people have come up and have said, I want to be a part of that group. How do I do that? Like, they see it and they want it because they want those social connections. And it really got me thinking after reading this book is that I can't just be passive and like, oh, I've got all these friends. I have to cultivate those relationships. How do I do that? Well, I need to interact on their feed. I need to do like video calls or leave them a voice message and things that will enrich the relationship. So what are your, think about that from all those 5 different types. Like, is there one you're really strong in, Conor, and one you really want to work on? I think we all want to work on financial. That's kind of a given. But are any of the other 4 that you think like, oh, I could invest some more time or resources in?
Maybe physical, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
No, me. I was like, yeah, I need it for me. You. Yeah. Yeah, you do, Conor. You're pretty bad. Yeah.
I think that could help a lot. One thing that I've started to do is, I was talking to a friend. I just come up with this analogy. I was actually quite proud of myself, to be honest. We were talking about like a job. Now, we were talking about like having a job, and when you work for a company, how you basically have like 3 buckets. You have, okay, how much are they paying you, right? In one bucket. What are your benefits, right? Is it giving you health insurance, 401k, extra incentives, those sorts of things? And then how fulfilled are you, right? And I think the goal of a job is to not have any one bucket filled to the top, but it's to have each of the 3 like filled as evenly as possible, right? And that's where I'm trying to focus on these types of wealth as well, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to focus on my time, on having more time. That's great, but what are you going to take away from one of the other buckets too, right? So trying to get everything as evenly balanced as possible, that's what I'm trying to focus on, I think.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments where you feel you are the strongest right now. Mental, social, time, physical, or financial wealth. What is you feel like you're the best at right now? Let us know in the comments, because I'd be really interested. One of the things I also want to talk about, and Eric Fisher, who does the Beyond the To-Do List, and I've talked about this quite a bit, is that we all talk about work-life balance, which, to be honest, I really don't believe. Work for me is very integral into my life, and like, you can't you have to try to put in the buckets where you are in that season. So I think a lot of this stuff is very seasonal. Like, when you have young kids, you want to invest in the time aspect of it. So I was very blessed that I had this office and I could hear them playing in the pool outside. We had an above ground pool. It's no longer there. I can see it though. Very sad. But I had that time that I can invest because I made choices. Like, I could have went to Dallas and we could have moved there and we could have worked for a big agency and all that stuff, but we made choices. It was more important for us to invest in the time wealth than it was in the financial. So you had to give, like you were saying, Conor, you had to make decisions. And I think being okay with those decisions and understanding, I think it's becoming more and more people are really starting to think about this. Like, it's not just money. There's other things that I really need to work on. Like, who cares how much money you are in if you can't walk when you're 75, right? So you need to invest. Like, right now, I'm thinking about that a lot, because if you don't move it, you lose it. And I'm like, I need to keep active, because I don't want to be, having to get one of those electric carts that are in like Wall-E. I don't want to be that guy in Wall-E, just on the.
They seem to move pretty quickly though.
Yeah, I can move fast, but anyway. So, I think it was a really good book for me to think about. Okay, and also gave me a lot of confidence, or not confidence, but clarity. And okay, that's okay that I didn't invest so much in this thing, which I can do now because I did make the right choice. Yeah. But anyway.
I definitely want to read it. It's on my to read list. I just bought Story Brand 2.0
Yeah, I have
as
that one.
well. I haven't read that one yet. Read the original Story Brand, not 2.0. What's a book you have on your bookshelf you're about to read, Jeff?
And one I want to talk about sometime is, where is it? It's not the 5 Types of Wealth. It's a one about, it's Jay Bear. If you don't subscribe to his newsletter, it comes out twice a month. It's called the Bear. I think it's called the Bear Facts. And he does book recommendations, and there's not one in there that I have read that has been bad. He does really good ones. I read one called The Case for More Bad Ideas, and it talks about kind of what Amy was talking about, having time and there are no bad ideas, and how to get creative and become more creative. It was really, really good, and it was from an author I never heard about. Right now, I'm reading Wealthy and Well Known by Rory Vaden, who I met before many times in the social media marketing world, and his wife, AJ Vaden, and it's really good. The title is a little, it's not so much wealthy. It's using your platform to make a difference. So it's been really good so far. So that's what I'm meeting. So this is really interesting on this whole topic that we've been talking about. This is the last quote I'll give you. It says that more than 50% of full-time creators surveyed by NeoReach earns less than $15K a year. Only 15% make over $100K annually. So if you are on the way, it's okay. Like, this is, we compare ourselves to so many people. We need to stop that comparison trap and try to balance some of this stuff up. But we are out of time, Conor Brown. So where can people find the amazing, unsinkable Conor Brown?
You can find more about me at vacationkingdoms.com and follow me at Vacation Kingdoms so you can see all of the short form videos I'm posting over the next 30 or so days. You can see my lean learning in action.
Awesome. Yes, and you can find out more about me. Join my newsletter at jeffc.com. You can find out more at jeffc.com. That's I before E, especially in C, SIEH. And don't forget the sponsors of our show, Ecamm. You can find out more about them at ecamm.com/Jeff. Use code Jeff15 to save 15% on your first purchase. And with that, we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for all the great comments. Amy and who else? Abby was here. All these different people. Kira, Nazim, Caleb. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will do the show without you. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.